people back in the Shire. Turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club, brand, franchise in the history of the entire universe. My name is Sam Shinazzi, an OG from 2015. This is SharkCast Pod. We are live where we are, probably not where you are though. And this is a special week. And it's a special episode. And this show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Media Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. I've already told you what I am, but on the other end of this line, which is actually not a line, but we're in a real life room, face to face, I have an international guest. And it's not often we get international guests on the SharkCast Pod. He hails from the Shire, but lives his life in New York City. He is a radio producer. He appears on air. Millions of people tune into his show on SIRIUS Radio. He is a diehard Sharks fan. And to get on this show, you have to be a diehard Sharks fan. You have to know your stuff. This guy knows his stuff back to front. I would like to introduce to our SharkCast Pod world. Some of you know him online. We've got him on the show. Mr. Ben Harlum.
Hey! How disappointed do you think everybody is saying there's an international guest and then hearing a grating Australian accent?
Well, you are a guest and you are from the international.
That's true. You weren't lying, but I just, I didn't want to disappoint anybody. We'll revisit at the end of the pod, Sam, whether I've disappointed everybody. But I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. You're a big supporter of the show. And you and I got to know each other online, which sounds scary.
It does.
But we did.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And now we're buddies from real life. We've hung out a bit over the past year or so. And you're in town for work and recreation and work. And you're almost going back to the big smoke. But we're glad you're here. Now, you have seen the Knights game. You've seen... What else have you seen?
We were at the Warriors. Sorry, not the Warriors. We were at the Souths game together.
We were at the Souths game. That was a memorable game.
Yes.
Not.
Yeah.
But we had a good time.
We did have a good time.
And Warriors this week.
Yes. And
so you've had a good stint.
And I did go to the Dragons game as well in Wollongong.
Did you?
Yeah, I did with the fam.
I didn't know that, so we'll get to that. Tell our listeners a little bit about the show and what you do.
Yeah, so I work on a show on Sirius XM, which is a satellite radio company, which is different to what everyone is used to here. So in the car, in America, you've got AM, FM, and then there's a satellite button, and it's live everywhere in America and Canada. I fluked my way into producing the Top 40 station and the morning show that they've got there. So I've been doing that for about 7 years now in New York, which is crazy. And I also have my own show on a Saturday called Ben Plus One, which is when it's me, and as the title says, it's a plus one of some sort of celebrity that hangs out with me for the hour. So that's sort of my vibe in New York, which is cool.
We haven't really touched on it too much, you and I, but we did have a brief conversation about recent guests you had.
Yes, well, you and Kieran exposed me live on the pod a couple of weeks ago.
You're not mucking around. This isn't indie radio.
No, this isn't. Well, here's the thing, right? So it was halftime, and the famous Sharks speakers at the stadium were pumping out music.
World class
speakers, and world-class music as well. And you were asking about, who have you had in the office the other day? And you brought up Bon Jovi because Bon Jovi was playing. That's as far as I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yes, actually, a couple of weeks ago he did. Here is a photo that I have in my phone. It was just very convenient that Bon Jovi was playing. You asked about Bon Jovi, and he was just on my show a couple of weeks before.
Yeah, and I'm sure the list is endless, which is amazing. I know you're a pop culture music tragic. Anyone who follows you, what's your handles for now?
At Ben Harlum, and spelt Harlum.
Yes.
We were just discussing off air.
Not the mean streets.
No, and that is the issue in New York specifically, that when your last name is Harlem, but it's not spelled like the city of Harlem, you always have to clarify. And I almost wanted to register at Ben Harlem, but with an EM, and just set the bio to, you actually are looking for at Ben Harlem with my username. But there is some musician that has at Ben Harlem the wrong spelling. I'm still waiting for the Harlem Globetrotters to make a jersey with the right spelling on it, and then maybe I'll be able to represent.
The great thing about the Harlem Globetrotters is they're endless and they never stop.
No, that's right, exactly.
I saw them when I was maybe 8 at the entertainment center. My dad took me, and I remember we had like really good seats, because I think maybe, you can always get good seats at the Harlem Globetrotters.
I think that is correct.
Prices.
Yes, this is a Knicks game at the Garden.
Yes, and I come in and out of memories of that, because you and I talked about the Harlem Globetrotters before we started.
Yes.
But now we're talking about it now. I just had this lightning bolt memory that I went and saw them, and they did it was amazing.
Yes.
And that's my story.
You think after all this time that the Washington Generals would, their recruitment agent would be better? You think they'd be able to get better players by now? But weirdly, their talent and recruitment department just aren't up to scratch with the rest of the novelty basketball teams. Now,
we need to know about your Shark fandom, which is huge.
Yes.
How did it begin? Why is it so, etc.?
Shark from birth. There are photos out there, and a very, very small custom-made hoops jersey that my mum got made for me when I was a little tiny kid. And one of my earliest memories, sports related, is watching the Sharks play Penrith, I think, and when it was the Hill and not the Monty Porter stand.
Uh-huh.
And that's where all the flags and all the supporters were.
Yes, they had big flags there.
Yeah, the big flags, the trumpets, everything going on. That was everything.
Now, without revealing your birth date, approximately when was that when you were seeing the big flags and the
mid-90s, early 90s, mid-90s, I'd say.
Okay.
And that was it. The whole family has always been Sharks fans. And one of the highlights was that I went with my mum and my grandparents. We all went to the grand final together in 2016.
You're peeking to it.
I know, but I just wanted to put it out there that
okay.
It's been a family thing. So,
yes,
I mean, I was drafted in very early.
Okay. From your memory, you started getting on board around mid-90s.
Yes.
Good time getting involved.
Pretty decent time. Decent team.
A lot of fun.
Lots of fun. Yeah. So it's been up and down ever since, as you know better than anyone.
Yeah. Now, we're going to talk about your life as a fan throughout the episode, because it's going to relate to a bunch of things, but I specifically want to hit you up about what the heck it's like being over there, being a fan. Because I remember, and we'll get into it, but my first time I went to America in 2005, and I was peaking on the Sharks, but it was hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier now, but we'll get into it. I want to talk to you about the Dragons game, because you were there.
Yes.
I was not there. Where did you stand or sit? What were you doing?
We were in a stand, and Sharks we were on the Sharks try line for the first half.
Let me visualise that. Okay, yeah.
First time at Wynn Stadium, and I really liked the stadium.
Better than Cogra.
Better than Cogra, although I am partial also to Cogra during the COVID years.
What's wrong with you?
Maybe because I did go during COVID years, which meant that everything was much cleaner than usual, because they had to clean everything. It's like during...
You obviously didn't go to the toilets on the far side hill.
No, I definitely did it, Sam. I definitely did it. But yes, was in the stand and watched the men, watched the old boys at halftime.
Yeah, I only found out about this on Monday night, about the old boys game.
Yeah, so that was fun to watch, and then watch the women afterwards.
Now, what was the representation like in the crowd at peak time? Was it 30% Sharks?
I would say close to 40-50%.
Wow.
And even because I'm a nerd and listen to the commentary during the game, I'm one of those guys. It was even mentioned, I think, in the ABC commentary, they said, oh, look, you're just looking out, you can see that it is a very clear 50-50 here.
So how do you do that? You just, on your phone, you put on ABC radio, whatever?
You can do that, but there is a delay. But if you bring, I mean, you could have your sports ears.
Yes.
If you have a certain type of radio, you could tune in to the sports ears frequencies.
Gotcha.
Or just be a nerd and bring a little radio and tune it into ABC Illawarra, which was very handy because it was an FM. Now I'm getting real radio nerd. It was an FM signal and an AM signal, so it was much clearer.
Ben, I don't want to speak in a way that will make you think I don't love you, but that's really cute that you brought a radio in this day and age.
Of course. I'm like the old person you see at a Swans game that's still marking off all the stats and everything while listening to their radio or whatever.
It's
now,
old school.
To be fair, I was with, again, my family, and they are old, and I want to make sure that the experience is as comfortable for them as it would be on the couch watching TV.
Yes.
And if that means that I can give them one of my AirPods and they can listen to the commentary,
all right.
Well, then you know what? It's a win for everybody.
That's lovely. You're a lovely person. I like that. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the game.
Yeah.
We've spoken about it on the show a bit, but I want to get your thoughts on it. I personally didn't think it was going to be that one-sided, especially with the team that we ran out.
Yes.
But from the opening set, and you would have seen it from your seats, just dominating, particularly with those forwards going the way they were, winning the ruck, good kicking game.
Yep.
They kind of did everything right.
Yeah, they pretty much did, and I think it was pretty clear that at halftime we probably should have been further ahead. And that's the only worry, that when it was pretty close at halftime, it's kind of like, okay, they're just staying in it, and if they score first, this is going to be really dangerous in the second half. But for a team that, and you've said it week after week on the pod here, and everyone says it in the mail, that couldn't start well for the first 20 minutes of these games, and we keep watching it and we keep going, why aren't they fixing it? Why aren't they fixing it? This was a game where it was like they came out with intent. They knew that the Dragons had a lot to play for, and it was very clear, and I enjoyed that, because that's one thing that it's like, okay, why aren't they fixing this? Well, that game they fixed it, and they came out and for what should be quite an underwhelming side, because it's very much hodgepodge putting random players in different positions. You can expect, okay, well, they're going to take a bit to mesh and gel, but they came out and it was great, and you knew from the first couple of sets, it's like, okay, we're on here.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe you kind of want, right?
It is. It is. It's a lot more fun, no matter where you're watching or listening, when you start well, because at least you're in it. If you start well, okay, you could drop off, but at least you have that start, and they did it pretty easy. I mean, the Dragons are a work in progress. We understand that.
Yep.
But they had a lot to play for in front of their home crowd. It's a derby. It's Flanagan. It was surprising, but A, we take it, and B, we earned every accolade that we got. They were just 1-17, awesome. Young rookie winger on one side, not a particularly old winger on the other side, but almost a veteran in the stage. He's been around for 6 or 7 years and played, 15 games in Harati. That's on your edges.
Yep.
And then, we've got Jesse Raymond in the sin bin. Talakai's not there. Nico's still out. I thought it was, a really, really great team effort. 1-17. I love the way the coach is coaching at the moment.
Yep.
He sort of had ebbs and flows this year with his bench and some different decisions here or there, but I think he and his staff are right in the zone. It's almost like they are coaching specifically week on week as to who they're playing. And I know that's a strange statement, because you'd think, well, that's what a coach should do. But a lot of the time they just worry about themselves. And then the other team is almost an afterthought, because if you do your thing right, you study a little bit in the other team. But I get the feeling they're really studying the other team. And they're playing to a style that fits that.
And for a round that you saw so many teams that had lots to play for, and either they aimed up or there are upsets, and you go, okay, this is the round where no one's tipping is going to be 100%, because we're now at the meaty end of the season, so it's going to be all unpredictable. It was good to have a game where you're like, we needed to win and win well and win big, and we did.
Yeah.
Because it was easily a game that we could have walked out and have lost 14-12 and gone, another missed opportunity. There's another danger game that we lost.
Yeah, and I'm not someone who relies on the media to tell me how to think or feel or have expectations.
Well, if you were relying on the media to tell you about the Sharks, there probably wouldn't be a Sharks podcast, because apparently we don't exist at the moment.
Well, that aside, all week it was very much Dragon heavy derby, and I get it. They're on the way up, they need to win.
Yes,
I get all that. We've got some injuries. They were reasonably fully fit. They're missing Flanagan Jr. through suspension. So I understand how it was pretty even, betting-wise and that kind of thing. But yeah, the hype was all, let's see what they got. Well, they don't have much, and we did. Now, this week, it's, are they the real deal again? Like that storyline's coming around pretty quick. Are the Sharks the real deal?
Yes.
Can they get past the hurdle? And that's a realistic storyline. I don't really care for it, but it's obviously very real and up to us to change that storyline. But yeah, given the fact that even I think some of our fan base thought, this game's a bit tight, they swam it in. It was easy.
You really couldn't ask for more, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, we can nitpick for the rest of the episode, 100%, but considering the circumstances, considering the side, considering what the Dragons had to play for, to come away with that win, you're like, okay, this is satisfying. This is where we need to be considering the circumstances at this type of the year.
So on that subject, how have you seen the year up until now? It's obviously been circumstantial with injuries. We had Trindle missing for a while. Do you think we're where we should be? Should we be higher? Should we be lower? How do you think it's gone so far?
I think considering look, our forward pack has not been the same pretty much week to week, right? And I might be over-exaggerating there. Someone will come and be like, well, in round so-and-so and so-and-so, they were the same. But just looking at the injuries and the chopping and changing of the forwards, Nico losing his confidence, then getting injured, and then not having two healthy halfbacks, or halves, to be still in the top four, and despite everybody just assuming that the Bulldogs are going to come in and be fourth, like now we're equal second, we're third, Penrith are now fourth. Mm. Like, I think this is exactly where we should be. Mm-hmm. Considering the circumstances, I know I've said that 100 times now, Sam.
That's fine.
But the fact that we are still there, still winning, still fighting, you can't not be impressed at this time, considering everything that's happening. Now, in the future, in the next couple of games, couple of danger games, going into the finals, we don't want PTSD of what happened the last couple of years. That will be another issue for another episode. Yeah. But at this stage, I am happy with where we are. And I think it's exactly where we should be.
Are you expecting 2 wins to finish the regular season?
It's all circumstantial, Sam, because I think I go between this coming week with the Warriors being a huge danger game, but also thinking the Warriors, they were up last week, and now is this their sort of emotional low after the emotional high? But you think about Fanua Blake will want something to prove. Sean Johnson would love to win his final game against Cronulla. Yeah. Metcalf would love to win. You know what I mean? There are a couple there that you just go, okay, if these things add up, Warriors shouldn't be $5 outsiders if we're talking betting. Right. This is a danger game.
Is that what they are?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
For last time, they were $4 and then they went out to $5. Last time I saw. It could be a danger game, but I also thought the Dragons was going to be a danger game, and then they came out and performed. So, but again, it's this narrative that we're focusing on the opposition in the lead up to the game, right?
Yes. Now, I completely agree with everything you said, as it's factual. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that it's something to be concerned with, because they were really up last week.
Yep.
Emotionally.
Yep.
They delivered really poorly. I thought Sean was decent for patches.
Yep.
Even some shades of old Sean early on. And he'll still be up. I mean, he's quoted as saying the comeback win last year was, I think, aside from World Cup stuff, like career best, career highlight. That's how personally he took it. So, yeah, he wants to finish here and he wants to win. The Fanua Blake thing, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know the guy. I'm assuming he doesn't really... I don't think he's that invested.
Yep.
From the things you hear, the things you see, he plays awesome. He played pretty good last week.
He did.
And I'm not suggesting he's not a worry. Like he's one of the guys you're studying when you look at your opposition.
100%.
But as far as being emotionally up for it, I get the feeling he's more probably going to hang around and hang out with family afterwards and have a drink. And you know what I mean? Like, who else did you say?
I said Metcalf.
Metcalf. Yeah. Quick guy. Very quick. Very fast.
Someone that you are going to have to circle when you're preparing.
Yeah, when the scrum moves, that kind of thing, look out for him. I guess what I'm trying to say, Ben, is that we have this team finishing pretty high. They've done really well most of the year.
Stronger team than last week.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't even know what the final makeup's going to be. I think if we lose this game, it's not like a end of world thing, but it's also like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, this is go time. You've shown it in the past month. Played great. You got to keep that going. I don't need a 30-point win. I just need you to win.
Yes.
So I think we have everything to play for, even comparatively to legend finishing game, career, etc.
Sure.
I just think our motivation is way too strong, and the coach will have them up for that. Manly game, I think, is really circumstantial. Depends what we need, what they need, who's playing, who's being rested, etc.
And that's going to be the key, because with the ladder predictor that I like to do at the end of every round, right, it can easily be a game where no matter who wins and loses, we stay in the same spot, and that's us and Manly.
Yeah.
It could 100% be the opposite,
Yes.
that we're fighting for our lives, they're fighting for their lives. That one is like give or take. I don't know what's going to happen.
We can get to that.
Future.
Absolutely. But Warriors game, man, if we lose this one for lots of different reasons, I'd be very disappointed. Primarily because we're a better team and we're in a better zone.
Yes.
And I don't think we'll be taking them lightly. It's more just they got to win. Like, just whatever it takes, win. The other thing is you're starting to think about risk and injury and that kind of thing. I hope the players aren't, but as a fan, you almost want to start putting them in cotton wool, because top four is pretty much guaranteed. Not sure where we'll finish. So that stuff comes into play for me as a fan watching. I'm not worried about the Warriors game, but everything you say has a lot of truth to it. It's up to the Sharks players to really just lift and be bigger than all that, because are the three guys you mentioned, are they going to go for 80 minutes?
After last week, probably not.
Like Sean might, because it's his last hurrah. I get that. But I don't know. You really are doing it all for this one guy, but you were supposed to do it last week for the one guy. They changed the stadium name.
Yes.
His kids, the whole thing. It was beautiful. Where do you stand on the Sean Johnson appreciation, as far as there are things online like people suggesting we should clap in the 7th minute and all, some sort of thing like that, or give him a lap of honour at the end, or give him the game ball, etc. Where do you stand on that kind of thing?
Nothing, Sam, nothing during the game. Like, I mean, the guy didn't win a premiership for us. Mm-hmm. Great player. Mm-hmm. All-time great player, potentially, depending on the category that you pigeonhole him in. Had, I think, probably one of his best seasons. Everyone talks about last year, but the year that he did his Achilles, up until that point, he was going gangbusters for us, right? And I really do appreciate that year specifically.
Yeah.
He can get the game ball. I don't want this to be like I had the unfortunate opportunity to go down for Cam Smith's 400 game, just because I was in Melbourne that week and it was against the Sharks, and little did I know it was going to be Cam Smith's 400. And the Sharks players are standing there doing the clapping him out.
How much did we lose by?
It wasn't pretty. There was a brief comeback, but it didn't end well. But it was very much okay, Sharks here clapping him on, woo, go Cam, and I'm a Cam Smith hater. At least as a player, I am a hater.
Sure.
None of that for Sean Johnson. We'll clap him off. If some of the players want to give him a haka at the end, that's the beautiful stuff. That's why you love the game afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm not standing up at the 7th minute to SJ.
Would you sit down? Protest?
Oh, let's see. I'll stay seated. Maybe I'm going to be standing on the hill, Sam. I don't know yet.
It'd be awesome if we had the crowd shot and everyone's just up and clapping. You're just there.
Yeah, that will go down well.
Checking your phone, checking your sports ears.
Yeah, doing a yawn, Yes.
I think that you're right. I think in-game, forget about it. This is competition. We want 2 points. It's not our guy, it's their guy.
Yes.
And end of game ball in the glass frame, beautiful. Haka, beautiful.
Yep.
If he wants to go over to the Warriors fans or even do a lap, I'm cool with that.
That's totally fine.
But yeah, in game, and I only ask you because there is a bit of a sentiment rising about, hey, we should do this. It's like, no. Let's just focus on the footy.
And it's not our fault that it just so happens that his last game is at Shark Park.
No.
Gallen's last regular season game was it I think it was Leichhardt.
Regular season,
Brookie in the finals. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen.
I don't think Gallon got the standing ovation at Leichhardt.
No, but he did kick a field goal at the end of the game.
I remember.
We'll show appreciation after the game, and even that does also depend on the results, Sam.
Yeah, if we lose, I mean.
Oh, I'll be already out before he even starts his lap of honor.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that, listeners. If you have any opinions, let us know about that on the DMs or sharkcastpod@gmail.com. So you're happy with where we are right now. Where do you think we're headed in the finals? What do you think is going to happen?
I would love to know where the coach's mind is at the moment, going into the finals with a halves partnership that is doing quite well, that is taking ownership of these games, and particularly games against Knights, Dragons, Souths, depending on the makeup. There were 3 sides that all had something to play for.
Yeah.
And we beat them all in all different ways, right?
Yeah.
Souths, it didn't seem like anyone wanted to win. We finally kicked the field goal and win against the Knights, and then we, quite frankly, demolish the Dragons. I would love to know where his mind is in terms of how Nico comes back and what is the game plan here? Are we suiting everything to Nico's style pre-injury? Is he coming into now this new Shark system that we've sort of developed where it's very much straightforward. This is what we're doing. How does Atkinson make up? Does he just go straight back to Newtown? Is he 14? There's lots of things there that is going to be really interesting to see in the next couple of weeks leading into the finals. And then I think we're going to give it a red hot crack. I don't want to see us lose in week 1 again. I mean, yes, that will mean that we have to play in week 2, sure. But we've got to stand up and do something at this stage, right? We can't all go as a fan base and go, well, next year is going to be our year because we will get fully healthy Nico. We'll have Fanua Blake. We'll be, everything's going to be so good. We've learnt so much over the past 3 years. Yay, look at us next year. Let's start in Vegas. Ooh, let's do it. We'll make it to the grand final. The guys have got to stand up and do something week 1 of the finals, no matter who we play.
So you need to see a win week 1.
Yeah, I really do. At least see something that's not just...
because what you've seen the past 2 years has been pretty close to a win.
Pretty close to a win.
So really, you need to see a win.
Yeah, I do.
Because you were about to say something like...
I was going to say at least the effort was there, but against the Cowboys and the Roosters, you're 100% right, Sam, that the effort was there, but there was just one final, where's that final 1%? Mm-hmm. Let's not get sin binned. Let's try and block the field goal. Let's try and just really nail it. Yeah, I need to see a win.
Yeah.
I need to see a really hard-fought win.
I think that's realistic, and I think that, it's going to depend on the opposition and the venue, but it's not out of the question, and particularly if they can get Nico and whatever happens to Atkinson happening over the next 2 weeks. If it's not this week, then it'll have to be next week. But spoiler, Nico's named in number 22, so he's a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. What would you do as coach Harlum? What would you do with that situation? What would your halves be? Where would the person who's not making the halves, where would they go?
I as much as I have loved Atkinson's playing in the past, really all year, Storm game, amazing. Just clutch at clutch moments. And I really have appreciated that. I do think he needs to stay in the side somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then the next question is going to be, Sam, well, then who are you dropping off? And that I might not have an answer for because it's very tough.
But you're going Trindle, Hines in the halves,
yes.
and he's on your bench.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we have a SharkCast thread on text, and it goes pretty crazy most days, and it's all the hosts. And as you can imagine, this subject is heavily debated at all hours of the day. And TK, Tristan Canell, who was on the show last week, he sent this one to us. He said, I had a change of heart. He said, Nico should be 14. It'll make the other two know their position is under threat each week and rise the standards. Also, Nico is a big body and can play up the middle in a role there. And I replied, this is wild. And then Jardy and Ormsby said, I'm with TK and I actually love it. I actually don't want to see it, but I think the idea is actually not that crazy.
It's not that crazy. Not at all. It's wild when you first hear it, but then...
Yeah.
The only thing that I think is, yes, big body could play somewhere else.
Well, we don't want him doing all that.
I don't really need Nico being played in another position. We've already had that discussion earlier in the year, and then last year in rep footy. like, let's just be careful here. I do like the idea of easing him in at 14.
Yeah.
And then just depending on how the game's going.
Yeah.
Then seeing how you inject him and what you do with the other pieces of the puzzle. I don't mind that, Sam.
So I've been watching a few highlights today from games this year, and which is not unusual for me, and catching up a little bit on what Nico hasn't been doing. So just catching up on Nico Hines' game this year, and I hadn't forgotten how great he's been, but when he does what he does, it's pure class, and I'm confident he can bring that in, and I'm also confident they can make it all work how it's been working, and that means Trindle's still dominating, Brayley's still dominating. And we need that to really have a shake at things. I feel like Nico has had enough time off. He's been involved with the coaching. He's been up in the coach's box. He hears things. He sees things. I feel like he knows that he doesn't have to come back in and be the same guy he was. He can tone it down a little bit. He can ease into it. Do you think that's realistic, or am I just up with the fairies?
No. I mean, you're up with the fairies for other things, but no. That needs to be realistic, because you've seen Trindle needs to have a voice in the side when Nico is back. He needs to be, ruling everybody and getting them all in position and making sure that what he thinks needs to happen happens, and then Brayley needs to step up like he has as well. And then Nico needs to ease in there, or slide in there, maybe not ease in there, but slide in there, and he can just focus on his own game. And what he's, as you said, he's been in the coach's box, so he's seen the game plan, he's seen everything from above, and surely he's seen what the coach likes and what he doesn't like live in game and how things can be improved. Where his downside is, or at least has been the last couple of years, is when he feels like that everything is on his shoulders. He needs to now control everything. And that's when everything goes a bit haywire. Roosters' final game, as an example, right? Yeah. But is it a blessing in disguise that now you've seen elevation of Brayley taking leadership, Trindle getting a voice there, and now he can come in and be like, this isn't all on my shoulders. Yeah. That's what I want to see from Nico.
Yeah, it's strange how it's all happened, and I was down there when his leg did explode, and it was like, we're kind of done here, you know? And there was silence amongst 50 people at the ground working, and it was pretty eerie. I didn't leave there with the best feelings about how we were going to progress. I spoke to the coach briefly afterwards, and he was concerned with Nico, but he himself was like they were already making plans. They were making plans within 2 minutes, in all honesty. Like, I saw it with my own eyes. Nico down, minute or two, there were huddles going on, coaching staff, spine. Like, it was pretty impressive, actually.
Can I ask then, as someone that was there, when those huddles start, who did you see from a player's perspective? Who's the one that stood up?
McInnes.
Okay.
Yes. So McInnes kind of went to the coach, and it was brief. And then within a minute, McInnes had grabbed Atkinson. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And so it was that spine of those guys now, like the spine that you have. Just conversation being led by McInnes. It wasn't like something out of Rocky or whatever. Like, there were no like finger pointing or arms around each other. It was more just, we're going to have a private chat here.
Yes.
So, that guy doing the podcast doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I did know what they were talking about because I was watching it, and I could, make the assumption. And that was impressive. I didn't leave without hope, but I did leave very flat going, we're kind of screwed. But we're not screwed. And as you said, blessing in disguise in the weirdest of ways.
Yes.
Elevation of Brayley. Kennedy's come good again. Atkinson's unbelievable for a guy who's barely played that level. So the other thing is, if there are injuries in finals, if someone goes down, it's not a lost cause.
No, because we've seen so many chopping and changing in every position that everybody knows the game plan now, and then hopefully can get into position and just work it out no matter what happens.
I think it goes back to the coach having this team that's been together in lower grades and in first grade now. He was obsessed with this, keeping them together. And now they're at that point where they're all over the 100 games, or most of them are, a lot of it together. And they're getting this experience. And then like a Stone Street comes in, who's naturally talented.
Yes.
But he just has to come in and do one role. Catch the ball, score. Like, he's awesome. he doesn't have to think about a lot except for his own game. Let the veterans worry about it. Let the 100 gamers worry about it. And it's this system that Fitzgibbon has put together that just seems to be working this year better than any other year. It's almost like he's waited. It's had to sort of take time to get to this point where everyone knows what the hell's going on, even when it all falls apart. The playmaker goes down. He will be out for 10 weeks. All right, well, Atkinson, you're up. This is what you got to do. Brayley's going to be your halves partner, but he's not going to really play there. McInnes is going to play there.
Yes.
Jack Williams, you're going to be named prop. You're playing lock. Like, just, the crazy things we've seen. It's worked. Like, if it continues to work, beautiful. I was very interested in what you just said about blessing in disguise.
And the only comparison, and it's not something I thought of at the time, but it's definitely something that when I saw other people talking about this, is that, do you remember when, and going back to Sean Johnson, was it Kyle Flano and Chad in the halves? And this is a few years ago, obviously, and we were winning a few games, and then Sean was healthy again. And was Flano the coach at the time? Whoever the coach was at the time put Sean back in, and it sort of disrupted the whole thing. I hope that it's not. And I'm confident that the team is so different now and so differently coached that no matter whatever they're changing, and when the star player does come back in, that it doesn't disrupt everything.
Yeah, and I think that you can have confidence in the fact that the coach and the 7, is he the 7? Hines have such a good relationship.
Yes.
And the coach has a good relationship with all the players. He's very open with communication. They know what they have to do. It doesn't go to plan every week.
Of course.
But when it does, games like the Dragons are effortless in theory. Like, we sit back and go, wow, we're not going to lose this one. This is great. And I think that with Nico coming back, he's been in the coach's box. We keep telling you that. But even when I've been down at media days and Nico was just rehabbing to the point where he could walk, basically. That was his go walk. He would always sort of wind back in the defensive line, yelling out things. Then he'd go in the attacking line, yelling out things. And he was taking on a role. At one point, we saw him take aside Ronaldo and Talakai the week they were playing together, planning moves and like set moves. And it was really cool just to see him not just sit there and do his weights or whatever. And like, he was heavily invested in how they're playing now. That's what gives me confidence.
So with that being said, and what you've seen, that a lot of us that haven't seen that, all of us that are listening haven't seen that sort of thing, you're putting him right back in 7 and it's all systems go?
I assume so. I don't know if they're going to flip it and go, you're 5/8 and the other guy, and Trindle's running the show.
Okay.
As far as the Atkinson thing goes, I got no idea.
And you're not putting Nico at 14, no matter what your group chat is saying.
I'm not, but I think if there were more games to spare, if it was 4 or 5 weeks to go regular season, I'd contemplate it. But because we only got 2 weeks to go before the finals, I don't think that's really the right thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the coach is going to do. I have no intel, and I think at this stage, not many people would know. They're pretty secretive about that kind of stuff. I get the feeling that he'll be super close to playing. I don't know if he's actually going to play, but I feel like from what I've seen, from what I've heard, and the fact they've named him, he'd be close. The only thing I'd be worried about is, has he had enough contact in training to be past fit? And that'll be the thing they decide on Friday or whatever.
Okay.
Get him in some contact and see how he pulls up. And they certainly don't want to rush it. Like, if he's not ready, he won't play. I have faith in that.
No, I don't think. No, you can't have an underdone Nico. Going in there.
So, yeah, interesting times. Let's have a little break, Ben, and we'll come back and we'll talk about a bit of news floating around. And I want to talk to you about America.
All right.
SharkCast Pod with Ben Harlum, all the way from the USA via the Shire. Dyson Logistics have been on board with SharkCast since day one. And because of that and their excellent service, we are proud to be associated with them. Dyson Logistics provides tailored logistical solutions to meet your individual client needs and is set apart by its personalized service. Dyson is a strong worldwide agent network, enabling highly competitive rates And I should also point out their head honcho is a lifelong season ticket holder of the mighty Cronulla Sharks. Find them online, www.dysonlogistics.com, or call them on 02 8339 1844. Dyson Logistics, service delivered.
Here it comes. Hydes for the win. Nico Hydes is ice cool. It's Cronulla's night. They've done it again at the death in the Shire.
Welcome back to SharkCast Pod. You are with Sam Shinazzi, OG 2015, and with Ben Harlum. Now, Ben, you work for SIRIUS, which is awesome,
Yes.
huge. You have literally millions of listeners every morning in American time. Must be so humbling to come on a show like SharkCast Pod.
No, I like coming on with the little battle of Sam. This is more my vibe.
Hey, we're a big deal in some circles.
Trust me, you're a big deal in my circle.
I appreciate
This is
that.
fun. I love going on the message board and saying he talked too much about Valentine Holmes.
What about that? Didn't
yeah,
that blow up, eh?
That did blow up.
That got back to me. I didn't look, but it got back to me.
It always. Well, I mean, someone posted. I made my message board debut because someone posted a tweet of the video I had in the sheds after the Knights game. I was like, "Look at me! I'm on Sharks forever, guys," and it's positive.
Yeah, not ripping you apart.
They will. And after this episode, they will.
Let's talk about news. There is news floating around about good friend of the show, Royce Hunt, reported by the likes of Riccio and other people. You know, it's kind of, at least in the air, not confirmed, that the West Tigers are pretty keen on his services. Not surprising at all, given the form he's in, and also allegedly told that he can look elsewhere at some point. He did tell us on the show the other week that he'd be here next year. I don't know if he was telling me a little porky, because it sounds like the West Tigers really want him next year. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Maybe we'll get something in return. But my question to you, Ben, first and foremost, is would you be letting Royce Hunt go?
Next year or just in general?
Let's go next year.
Next year, no. No, I want to see this forward pack. I would like to see them competing for spots. And especially after this year, I've said it 100 times, everybody's been chopping and changing. We haven't really got a real... I don't even know what to say. Like, just the rotation hasn't gelled because it's been so different week to week.
Yep.
No, I want to see everybody fighting for spots. I don't want it to be, oh, no, we have enough now. You're now too much for what we've got. Go to the Tigers. I want to see Royce in there. I want to see him challenge everybody and give it a real crack.
What about if, and I think I'm correct in saying this, what about if he went, but someone else was able to stay who's off contract currently?
Who are you thinking?
Maybe like a J. Williams.
Interesting. Okay.
And that they may be able to do both. I'm not suggesting they can't do both, but what if that was the circumstance?
So now this is the assumption, right? Because first it was Souths and now it's Tigers, right? So we are just assuming that there is no room whatsoever to keep Royce. Like, this is just 2026, 2027. There's no room. It's done.
I don't know if there's no room, but that's the way they look to be going.
Okay. Let Royce go early and we can re-sign Jack. I'd still love to see. I don't think that we should be letting him go early.
Okay.
And you just said about would we get something back from the Tigers? What would we possibly be getting back?
It'd be something half decent and probably something young for the future.
Okay.
It wouldn't be their next best player, not obviously, but it wouldn't be the next best player.
No, of course.
And we wouldn't really want a guy who's not great, so it would be someone young.
I still would love him just next year, because I feel like next year is the year. And I just would love to see him just battle it out next year.
I mean, I don't know the circumstances, because maybe Benji just wants him.
Yes.
And maybe he offers him the year after next for 2-3 years, and that's it. But when that happens, there's always that speculation, can we get him early?
Yes.
So maybe that happens.
And the agents are always going to try and...
Yeah, maybe he signs for the year after, and then that becomes a bit of a thing, and then it's up to us to go, well... No, we want you to stick around, or let's haggle and see what you can...
I'd at least like him to stick around for the first half of next season, and then you never know who's going to get injured, right?
Yeah, I want to keep him, so I'm with you. I wouldn't be letting him go early, and the Sharks have shown historically under Fitzgibbon that they make it they make it worth their while.
Yes.
They don't. If they let him go, then we're going to get something in return. I'm with you though. I'd keep him. He's in really good form. He's liked around the club. He likes being there. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the guy, but I can't imagine his preference would be to leave and go play there next year if he had the offer for the year after, no matter what. I think he'd rather stay and have a shot at a title. Let's be fair income, and then go on with good grace. And thanks, Royce. Love you. Go enjoy the Tigers. The Tigers will have a year under all their new guys that they're getting, and he can come in firing. So usually when there's this speculation around, there is definitely something happening.
And it's the right people that are making and that are talking about it. It's not ones where you go, okay, this is just a tweet from so-and-so. Let's not take it too seriously.
I do believe the South's interest has waned off, is what I've heard from similar sources. And unless the manager is asking for too much money, I mean, he's in really good form.
Yes.
He's not a bad egg by any means. He's quite a good egg. And I mean, I'm not suggesting he walks into the front row of every club in the comp, but I would think at West Tigers, he'd get a starting gig, for example, especially they're losing their best prop. Having said that, the demand may not be as strong competition-wide as what maybe Team Hunt and Team Sharks thought maybe it was going to be.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I have no reason why, because as we've all seen, his form's pretty good. See what happens. Watch this space. I'm with you, though. I wouldn't be letting him go.
No, I would be making it very tough, and I wouldn't be looking any earlier than whatever the new June 30 deadline is next year.
Yeah.
I want to reevaluate then.
I want to see him train and play with guys like, a guy like Fanua Blake. If he brings what we think he's going to bring, they should all lift a certain percentage. Club-wide, but specifically the engine room. So that would be cool to see Royce go even harder and better next to Fanua Blake with that influence.
And that's a Sharks gain. And then really in the long term, that is a Tigers gain as well.
Sure. Absolutely. Now, I wanted to talk to you, Ben, about Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes, let's do it.
So Sharkies are heading there. We all know that. That's
we do.
exciting. You're going to be there.
I am.
We think I'm going to be there. That's exciting for me alone. You went last year.
It's exciting for a lot of people. It's exciting.
You went last year.
I didn't go last year.
You didn't go last year?
No, I didn't.
Why are we talking about this then?
No.
Why didn't you go?
Okay, so I had said to myself, look, I'm only going to go if the Sharks are going to go.
Bless.
Yes. Not even thinking that they would be picked the second year. But I wanted to see how it went. When I first moved to the States, that was just before they did the New Zealand-England test. That was in Denver.
Yes.
And for the longest time, I thought I was going to go to that because of the novelty rugby league in America. I just moved. Let's do that. Hey, amazing. Didn't go at the last minute. Looked like it was fun on TV. Everybody lost money, specifically the promoter. And I was like, okay. I just wanted to see what happened in the first year before I committed to actually going. Also, did go to the Super Bowl in Vegas literally 3 weeks beforehand.
Gotcha.
So as anybody that goes to Vegas regularly knows, that too much Vegas really does leave an impact. But I will say that, like most people, no matter what you thought of the whole thing in the lead up, seeing NRL 360, Outside Resorts World, seeing the crowd, seeing the fan day where literally I've spoken to the NRL and they literally only expected 150, 200 fans and they got thousands of fans cramming into Fremont Street. And then actually seeing the game, watching it, I watched it intentionally on FS1 on Fox Sports in America to see what the experience was like, and actually going, oh yeah, I'm jealous. I should have went.
Yeah, cool. I know a lot of people that went, and neutrals as well as fans of the teams. No bad reports. Apparently, really great time. Aside from the crazy weather they had that day.
Yeah, the wind and everything, right?
Yeah, a bit like today, really, in Sydney.
Yeah, that was crazy. It's weirdly a summer day, but with intense wind.
Yeah, but that aside, which I think cancelled a few tailgating parties and that kind of thing that they had planned.
Yep.
But aside from that, as you said, all promotions went well. I know from Fox that not only the ratings through the roof, but the experiences of, as you said, 360 and the Matty John show, etc., really well received.
Yes.
So, no brainer to go back. And from what you and I know behind the scenes, doing different things, that it's going to be a great experience. And the fact our team's going is really exciting.
It is very exciting. I did, whenever it was mentioned, I'd always post it on Instagram, Sharks in Vegas or we riot. Then it came to the stage where it was, oh yeah, Sharks are going, but we're up against Penrith. And I was like, oh, I might start rioting. Because
that could be a riot.
Yeah, that could be a riot in itself. Yeah. But I think also the fact that, like, they're not going to be picked again in 2 years' time. They are literally going to be cycling through every team.
Yeah.
And this might be the only opportunity. Obviously, it's rich coming from me because I can fly for 5 hours and I will get there. It's much easier for me to go than it is for other Sharks fans around here. But, I mean, I have to go.
Oh, you have to go. And it's also not necessarily specifically designed for people from the Sutherland Shire to head over. Like, sure, majority of our fan base is here.
Yes.
But as you know, we have fans all around the world in all sorts of places, and hopefully those people can converge. Those, as you say, that can get there. Obviously, some can't.
I've just had a sudden realization. Did you only get me on the pod because you just Googled New York Sharks fans and you thought I was the multimillionaire?
You are, aren't you?
Well, I mean...
Do you have brothers?
Do I own the Cosmopolitan Hotel? No, Sam. I can't hook you up for free. I've just realized this is what's happened. This is why you got me on. I'm so sorry to break this to you.
It's been great.
Wrong New York Sharks fan.
We'll finish this episode tomorrow with a different guest.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt.
We're going to get to those guys, you and I.
Okay.
We're going to get to them.
Yes.
The brothers. We have some contacts, and we're going to get to them. I feel like they need to hear from you and I specifically about the Sharks and our experience with the Sharks, and I want to hear their experience with the Sharks. And I think that two chaps in Vegas with some brothers who have some pull, let's do it.
Any fan of the Sharks in New York, I want to be friends with.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sorry to go on a detour.
We're legitimately trying to get to these people.
Yes, we are. So. But yes, in terms of the NRL and their end goal, they do want to make sure that there is an awareness there, not just March 1st when they do the games, but all year round, that there is some sort of awareness, whether that's better broadcast on Fox, whether they can do more education campaigns or whatever, just getting some sort of awareness about NRL all year round. This is not just a, hey, let's just go to Vegas for one weekend. Yeah,
and we were talking off air a little bit about that the NRL have people specifically involved in their company now that their role is to do things like that in America specifically.
Yes.
So that's, to me, says exactly what you just said. They're in it for the long haul, so to speak. Like, they're going to give it a serious shot. Like, if it doesn't work after 10, 15 years, maybe they walk away and you go, well, they gave it a good shot. But I think at least... well, the 5 years is signed.
Yes.
And you might see year 3 or whatever. I don't know. I'm speculating. They might do another 5 years, or they might do a 3-year deal. Like, I think that with Peter V'landys specifically, like, he's keen.
And from a non-NRL perspective, right, and this is what I've been told, I think I was told earlier this year, or maybe late last year, that from Nevada tourism, so Australia is in the top 5 of countries, people that come to Vegas. But on average, they only stay for, let's say, 2 nights, 3 nights. Yep. If they can use this NRL experiment to increase that average to just 1 extra night, the 5 years of NRL and the amount that the tourism board has invested in this as well pays for itself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that's all they need. So Australia is like 3rd or 4th in people that come to Vegas from outside of America. If they can just extend that average night to 1 extra night, bingo, bango, Sam. Yeah, it's done.
The people that are already going this time round, as well as those that went last time, absolutely frothing for it. Like, people are so invested. They're looking up what to do around the game. You know, go to the Grand Canyon. Should I go watch the Maple Leafs at Vegas night? Like, people are really... I'm not a great planner.
Okay.
I've got my eye on things here or there. Like, I know the Maple Leafs are going to be there. I'm pretty interested.
Yeah, the Golden Knights are playing a couple.
I'm going to keep checking, see who's on at the Sphere. But that's pretty generic kind of, I like footy, I like sport, I like music kind of stuff. People are all in on, like, all the other stuff you can do.
Janet Jackson's just announced a residency at Resorts World.
That might get me in.
Carrie Underwood, if you're into a bit of country,
I like Carrie.
is
like
going to be
country,
there.
You know that. C. Clarkson, is she still going to be there? C? I meant K.
Yeah, I
K.
was about to say,
Clarkson.
who is C. Clarkson? I don't know if Kelly's going to be there.
I would be there for that.
She does have a Sirius XM channel. I could ask her. She probably has a company email.
I sent her a DM.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you get a reply?
No.
Oh.
Wasn't expecting it.
Okay. What did you send? Are you going to be in Vegas?
Bit personal.
Okay, that's fine. Yep. We'll just let that linger for a second.
I asked her if she would sing on my last album because it was a very country-inspired album.
Ah.
And I genuinely would have loved that. And I thought, well, there's different ways I can approach this. And I kind of already know the answer just given her life. But also know that she's completely cool and that if she got to hear it or whatever, she'd go, oh, if I like it, maybe.
Yes.
But she didn't see my DM. And I probably should ask you to ask her.
Yeah. k.clarkson@sirius.com or whatever the company email
whatever it
is.
yeah.
She might be there. I'm not sure.
People are excited about Vegas is my point.
You do need to go to the Sphere, though.
Yeah.
You two at the Sphere was something else.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. Kind of scares me a little bit, the whole visual of it.
Oh, see, I find it very cute.
Well, I haven't seen it in real life. So maybe
Yeah,
I'll...
once you see it in real life, you see its little face and it makes its little faces or whatever. He was my worry, right? And not to name drop again, but I did go for the Super Bowl. But trust me, my wallet is still recovering.
Drop.
But I was worried going there that the Sphere was going to be non-stop ads because they were selling it for a very heavy price. But the face did show up, so I was happy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
In between the, Bud Light ads that they shelled out millions for.
Yes, Vegas is happening. Sharks are going to be there. Super exciting. We are playing Penrith.
Can we do the SharkCast from Vegas?
We will be, yeah.
From the Sirius XM Vegas studio?
Yeah, let's do that, yeah. We can do it any way you want.
Well, we have a studio at the Wynn, and there's a big glass, people can look in like it's the Today Show.
That's our dream, really.
I'll change the graphic on the back of the screen if you're in,
I'll
if
be
I
there.
haven't embarrassed myself enough on this episode.
I'll be there. You'll be there. Bowling, you'll be there. TPC on the rest of the crew. But yeah, let's do it.
Great.
Yeah. We're going to talk to the club a little bit as well about stuff. Maybe that can be hand in hand. But yeah, we're taking our gear, Ben.
I like that.
And when I say gear, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Other people assume it's something else, but I'm talking about equipment and sound recording gear. Let me get out of that hole I'm in. You, as a fan in America.
Yes.
So we talked about it briefly at the start of the show. When I was there in 2005, it's a completely different time, technology, the whole thing, I get it, right?
Yep.
I was very reliant on, the already mentioned forums, which I was a lot heavily involved in. I don't get a lot of time on there now. But it was around the time of trial matches 2005.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty fascinated, as we all are, by trial matches and what's going to happen.
Of course.
It was pre-premiership, so all I needed was premiership.
Yep.
Being in America at that time, you had time differences, obviously. I was in New York. The best way I kept up was on forum. They're updating the score every, 3 minutes.
Yes. And that's the only way that you can
At the
get
time.
involved.
And it was great.
Yep.
It was a great way to follow. And then, I'd read in the paper or whatever or online. You'd get the match report eventually. But it was 2005. I know that you've only been in America for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you have access to a million things I didn't have at that time, technology-wise. But what is it like for you as a Sharks tragic to follow them from New York City?
Well, here's the thing, right? As a Sharks tragic, it is a lot of 3 a.m. Saturday morning wake-ups.
What's that, Friday night football, or what's that?
No, so Thursday and Friday night, I'm in the studio doing my morning show, and that is hopefully it's on Fox Sports, Fox Soccer, which is another conversation. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that. And I've got the TV on in the studio, and I can put it on just DirecTV or whatever, right?
So a Thursday, Friday night game, what time is it there?
That'll be, 8 p.m. start is a 6 a.m. start New York time, roughly.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
I'm on air from 7, so I can get to the station earlier, chuck it on, watch during the show.
Okay.
It's this Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Super Saturday. That's the 3 a.m. special.
Whew.
That's not pretty, especially when we lose.
Okay.
Then it's a halftime. Do I go back to bed?
So
Situation.
are you getting up right on kickoff? Do you get up and check
5
the
minutes,
team?
5 minutes before.
Yeah.
5 minutes before, alarm goes off, plonk myself on the couch.
If it's not on Fox, are you watching on the app?
Yeah, so the Watch NRL app is handy, but it's very expensive. And that's going to be the issue for the NRL moving forward if they want to make this whole, awareness campaign
What
or
is
whatever.
it, like a month or whatever? Or
Jeez, I I feel like, is it a couple of hundred a year?
Okay, so we're in like NFL Game Pass territory for us.
Yes,
kind of thing.
correct.
Okay.
Especially when you do the conversion rate, because for me it's US dollars. But if you're traveling and you are in Europe for 6 months and you want to try and get it, then you have to convert it back to Australian dollars. Then it's super expensive. Okay. But it is very handy, and it has all of the Fox shows. It's got live coverage of Fox League. Like, it's very handy when you have it.
Okay.
But that's going to be a barrier to entry for the normal American that wants to try and get involved.
Yeah, right.
The scheduling on the Fox channels in America is crazy. I remember before the 2019 grand final, I think, Batuta did a joke article about Malcolm Turnbull showing up at the Australian bar to watch the grand final, right?
Yeah.
That was the day before the grand final. Literally at the Australian bar for that grand final, I was sitting there with my mates, and Malcolm Turnbull came in. Literally sat at our table, introduced himself, and was like, what channel would this be on? And I was like, oh, it's on like Fox Soccer Plus or something. And he was like, yeah, I literally woke up and went through the channels because the Roosters were playing, and he's Eastern Suburbs, and he couldn't find it on the TV. I was like, well, if the former PM can't find it, you'd think that he would have the connections that he could just call up and be like, yo, what channel is this on? No, he came down to the Australian bar, like the Batuta article said. There are games they never have it on Fox Sports 1 unless it's the Vegas games. Mm-hmm. Fox Sports 2, which is in less homes because it's a lower ranked channel, they will have your Thursday, Friday night game, but then they're also competing with the AFL, Sam. So they've got AFL, AFLW games are on there. Sometimes they show replays of AFL games instead of the live NRL games, which means then...
What? Is that just because they have a better deal?
They just don't know. There's no one there to go, oh, this is actually a live game.
It's
we
just
should
content,
put this on.
so...
It's just, okay, this fits in the AFL game's going to be 2.5 hours. That's great. The NRL is only going to be 2 hours. Well, we need 2.5 hours to fill. It's just that sort of TV minded as opposed to someone there going, no, this is going to be live. This should be there. Yeah. And then the worst possible outcome is that the majority of the games are on Fox Soccer Plus. Why is it Fox Soccer Plus when there's no normal Fox Soccer channel anymore? I don't know. The Plus is just there now.
And that's an added cost? Or
that is an added cost. So you have to pay like $15 a month. And it doesn't even have all the games.
And it's a soccer channel.
And it's a soccer channel, but it does have AFL, Rugby League, Super League in the UK.
Okay.
It's a weird thing. So there is lots of barriers to entry, and I feel for any Americans or Canadians with their Sportsnet and TSN, all their channels, because it's just as hard.
Is there a reason they wouldn't approach an ESPN, for example? Or?
I used to work for Austar magazine, Austar being regional Foxtel, and on my first trip to America, I visited the campus in Bristol in Connecticut, and the guy there that was the head of programming at the time, he was Aussie. And one of my first questions was, like, is there any appeal for AFL or NRL? Like, when they first launched ESPN, one of the sports rights that they bought up overnight was AFL because they just needed stuff to fill overnight. Yep. And that's where a lot of the AFL America fans learnt the game, right? Yeah. And they said, it doesn't make any money. There's no reason for it. They could put endless SportsCenter repeats on overnight, and it would be the exact same as putting... Okay. Now, this is 2012, so this is over 10 years ago. Could change by now. But also, there's that Fox synergy sort of thing, right?
Yeah, because I know when the production happened in Vegas...
Yes.
Fox America were very hands-on with everything, as in... let us assist you in any way possible. So our smallish team of, 30, 40 people went over, and then they had, from riggers to whatever, pretty much open house. What do you need? Let us help you.
Great.
With Fox.
Yes.
So I get that. But just hearing you talk about the channels, it's just like, well, there are a lot of sports channels, and maybe...
Yes, you would think. And like it gets down to weird things like, so the last Rugby League World Cup, whoever bought the rights for it sold it as pay-per-view, like it's a WWE event, right?
Yeah,
but you had to buy, it was per event. So like if you wanted to watch, if you wanted to watch the quarterfinals, or you wanted to watch a pool game or whatever, you had to plonk down the $20 or $30.
Yeah, right.
To watch it.
That's weird.
It's just very odd. Yeah. There's just a couple of things there, which when you do see the articles about, hey, the Warriors-Raiders game is going to be on Big Fox, so that's free to air. Anyone with an antenna can watch it. Like, yes, they go, oh, it's going to be in 200 million homes. I mean, technically, but the Super Bowl is in 200 million homes. This is going to be a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a big deal in terms of, like, from a TV point of view. It's not going to get that big a rating.
Yeah.
But in terms of access,
if everyone tuned in, you would get those numbers.
That's right.
Yeah.
But in terms of access to the sport, that is cool that it's going to be on normal free-to-air American TV. The question is, and this is one thing that me as an Australian watching the American, and I'm putting in air quotes, coverage on FS1 after the basketball game ended halfway and then they joined it in progress. Another story for another day, Sam. Do they go the extra effort and do an Americanized coverage? Instead of just simulcasting Dan Ganay and Mick Ennis or Vossi or whoever it is.
It'd be hard, right?
It would be hard, but even if it was just... So, like, Dan Ganane, obviously, he loves American sport. He understands it. You put him in with whoever ex-player and just say, look, these are all Aussies, but you're only broadcasting to America. So you might have to explain what a 40-20 is.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because you don't want to dumb it down for the Australian audience, because that's where your record ratings are going to be.
I think they tried, from memory in the coverage, occasionally you'd hear one of them say, for all of our overseas listeners or viewers, when you kick from this line, there was an example here or there, and I was like, there's not a lot of time for that.
No, there isn't, and that's the thing. You need, if you're going to do it, you need to do a specific coverage where you literally have someone going, like Vossi saying, the NFL has 4 downs, and then you have to punt the ball. Well, we have the equivalent, it's 6, and then you have to kick the ball or try and get a score.
Before we get on to the next segment, Ben, tell me about what people going over can expect from Allegiant Stadium.
It is an amazing stadium. It's got a roof over it, but the roof is like see-through / tinted a bit where you almost feel like that if it is in the middle of the day, you're getting lots of sunlight, even though it's not an open-air stadium. Yep. They've got behind the fake flame that they've got on one side of the stadium, they have like almost a big window that they can open up. It's got a beautiful view of the strip. But on a game day like the Las Vegas game where it was very windy, it's closed. Yep. But that brings in a lot of breeze, and so it feels very different to a normal enclosed stadium that you might be used to if you've gone to like a Vikings game or something, right? Yeah. And because it's one of the newest stadiums, and one of the issues with the Super Bowl was because it wasn't an 80, 100,000 seat stadium, it's like 65,000. You feel very close. It's not as giant as like a Cowboys stadium or a Giants stadium. Yeah. It's a really great stadium to watch football in. Yeah. And I can only imagine what it would have been like watching league in.
It looks like it's almost got the Parramatta Western Sydney Stadium, that kind of vibe where or even like the new Allianz where you're just sort of right there.
Yeah. Yeah, the sight lines are very good, and the slope of the seats. Yeah. And it's dangerously close to the strip.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's at the end, yeah?
It's at the end. So the closest big hotel is Mandalay Bay in the Luxor, because that's where I stayed in Feb. Okay. Yeah, and that's only a very quick walk away.
Okay.
It's going to be very fun to watch the Sharks there. I will say that.
Any tips for people going for the first time to Vegas?
Apart from the obvious, right? I really like the Neon Museum, which is basically all the old hotels, the Sahara, the Aladdin, Stardust, all the old neon signs, all collected in one open-air space. When I saw it about 10 years ago, they just projected lights onto it to sort of show you what it might have been like. Now they've actually redone a lot of the lights, so they actually light up. You can do the tour around. They talk to you about the hotels or whatever. That's a cool sort of glimpse into old Vegas and what it's like. That's one that I always suggest. And really, it's what you make it. Walk through all of the casinos, go to Top Golf and have fun there. You know, take advantage. The pools will be closed in Feb and March, won't they, Sam? It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But like old Vegas is great.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's the obvious things. Go to the Grand Canyon and all that sort of stuff. And
it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It'll come around pretty quick. That's why I'm sort of addressing it now. With you, you've got experience being there. A lot of our listeners, they're right into Vegas. I've had so many people say to me, hey, if you need any tips, and I'm like, yeah, send me what you got. I mean, I've been 3 times.
Yep.
But I'm certainly not an expert in the place. But I've had a good 3 trips there, had a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to getting over there. It's going to be cool. I think it's going to be a bit of a trip just seeing all the black, white and blue over there.
Well, one of the things I do like is that the Sharks were probably the first team out of the 4 to really go early. The launch video, they've started the campaign, whereas it's my understanding, just based on what I've heard from certain people, is that the other teams are going to go heavy maybe after Christmas, maybe just before Christmas, whereas I really like that the Sharks have gone, yep, we're in, let's start. You know, they're giving away tickets at Cronulla and that sort of, like, there is activities happening.
Yeah, I think that the Sharks have done a great job too in that sense, going like, hey, we're going, it's on sale, check out this flight sale right now and this hotel. Like, they're really encouraging fans who can get there to get there. And I think that's the kind of the sort of slippery slope you don't want to go down, Ben, where you don't want to push it too hard, because there is clearly, and especially in these times,
Especially
people who can't go. Like, it's not a walk in the park just to get over there for, you know, a single person, let alone a person with 3 kids or a family, you know. So it's a tough one, I think, personally, like from a social kind of point of view, like, because you don't want to be in that situation where someone in your family's like, oh, that's all I want to do. And it's like, all I want to do is take you, but yeah, times are tough. But the Sharks have handled it really well. They've made it fun. And I think they're sort of saying, if you can come, it's going to be a really great experience. If you can't, you know, we're going to send over Gary Dover and we'll have some fun. You'll be able to follow us. And I mean, we saw Fox do a great job. I'm sure Nine did whatever they did as well. Mm-hmm. So if you can't get there, I think you're still going to have a great time with the Sharks being there. There might be a little bit of FOMO, of course. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that's FOMO is fine. That's the first time, Ben, in my life I've used that word twice in the one sentence.
Really?
Yeah,
Double FOMO?
I don't even usually say it.
This
might be your presence here.
You know, maybe it is.
The international...
Cool, the Gen Z slang.
Gen Z New York guy.
I'm not really Gen Z, but I like it. That's, FOMO.
Oh,
YOLO. FML.
Yeah, my son says some stuff now. He's like 8, like a young 8, but he says stuff. And I'm like...
Skibbity toilet.
Yeah, that definitely says that. But just other ones, I'm like, yeah, I think I know what you mean, but could you tell me what that means?
Yeah, you need to have Urban Dictionary open at all times.
Yeah.
But yes, it is. There is a barrier, and once I've been here for the last couple of weeks, everybody I've asked, it's like, okay, you coming to Vegas? Like, let's go to Vegas. But not everybody can go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Again, it's easy-ish for me to go to Vegas because it's a shorter flight, and once you're there, you can get a cheap hotel and do it as affordably as possible. But there's lots of barriers.
There are barriers. I was having that conversation today with a friend on the phone, and he said, are you going to Vegas? I'm like, yeah. I said, you should come along. And knowing that he is in an okay position to do so, he was like, yeah, I'm keen. I went, well, the opposite of what I just said about planning. I was like, man, you'll get a hotel room last minute. That's not a problem. Mm-hmm. Maybe just sort your flight. I'm sure there'll be a seat somewhere at the game. Don't decide now. And I'd say that to our listeners. If you're in the middle or you just can't do it right now, like, see how you're going later in the year, early next year. You just never know, you don't know what the circumstances will be, but there might be a flight you can get on.
And let's look at it this way: that there will be people that are listening, and they will be cynical and will think it's a cash grab, or for whatever reason they don't like that the Sharks are going over and could ruin their season. People blame the Broncos' bad season on it and XYZ. At the very least, I do like the fact that within the 8 teams that were chosen for the first 2 years, that the Sharks were considered, and that they are one of the teams that, whether it was for results-wise or branding-wise or for whatever reason, they were chosen.
It's a great point.
From the people.
It's a great point, Ben. Like, that is how we're traveling at the moment, I mean, one of the faces of the game.
Yes.
Consistently in finals, even pre-Fitzgibbon, consistently in the finals, except for the 1 year with Bomber or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Off the field, doing good things financially.
Yes.
Community, killing it. Off-field kind of behaviour, aside from a hiccup this year, really good in the last, I'm guessing, 5 years at least. I think we tick a lot of boxes. I think we've gone from that team that people kind of disliked around salary cap, around Asada, around senior rep guys who rub people the wrong way, opposition fans. We've sort of shed all that. and we've got this coach who's young and kind of pretty cool in a rugby league sense, cool halfback, playing attractive football. I think we're just starting to tick all those boxes.
Try telling a Sharks fan 10 years ago, hey, in 10 years, not only are you going to get a premiership, but you're going to be playing round 1 in 2025 in Vegas. Watch their head explode. If it hadn't exploded already this far through 2014.
Well, speaking of heads exploding, we're going to take a break and come back and get some mail. And we haven't read the mail except for one, which I'm going to start with, which is really special.
Oh, well, I haven't even read that one.
You haven't read that one?
No.
You're going to like it. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, and we'll get into your mail. This is SharkCast Pod with special guest host Ben Harlum, all the way from Harlem, New York City. I had to make that joke.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
why not?
Gone. The Royal Motor Yacht Club Port Hacking is a hidden gem of the Shire, situated on the banks of the beautiful Port Hacking. It's a great place to catch up with friends, celebrate your birthday or any special occasion, and they always show the NRL live on the big screens. The RMYC Port Hacking, proud sponsors of this podcast and big supporters of the Cronulla Sharks. Check out their website, rmycph.com.au. They've got a Facebook page, or you could go old school and call them on 02 9523 9300.
Plenty of time for the Melbourne Storm, but they dearly love to get it off this kick, which doesn't have much trajectory on it, and it's a terrific catch by Mulatalo, and he got away. He burned Welsh, then he got through. Now the pass to Talakai! Goodbye! Sniffer Talakai thunders his way to the line, and the Sharks are surely going to claim a massive scalp and take the Melbourne Storm out in Melbourne here at Amy Park. Oh, this is some night for the Cronulla Sharks.
Welcome back to SharkCast Pod, brought to you by the fabulous sponsors that you've been hearing ads from in these breaks, and they are Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate.
Thanks, Jason.
Yes. Do you know Jason?
I don't, but I'm thanking him.
Top fella.
Without him, I would not be here.
Top fella. If you need to buy real estate in this Shire, he's the guy to go to.
Good to know.
SharkCastPod@gmail.com is where you have found us, as well as DMs on the socials. And the first one's a really nice email, which we like. We like nice ones. And it's from a first-time writer in I believe. It is from a young person named Mary. Hi, guys. My name's Mary. I'm a super fan. I play for the Cooma Colts and most definitely support the best team in the world, the Sharks. I even dressed up as Jack Williams for Book Week recently.
Awesome.
The rest of my house are terrible. They support the Raiders.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
My brother just got a free hat from them. I told him to stop wearing that trash on his head. I'll watch the rest of the games and hope for some wins. Also that Nico Hines, Ronaldo Mulatalo and Sione Katoa come back soon. That's from superfan Mary. And Mary has sent in some photos from some games of her playing for the Cooma Colts. And she also said, say hello to Jacko for me. And I was trying to work out who that was, but she means Jack Williams.
Of course, from Book Week.
Yes, from Book Week. So, Mary, we thank you for getting in touch. And we will definitely pass that on to Jack. And I might even show him some of those photos. So appreciate that, and don't be a stranger, Mary. Hopefully the boys can get a win for you this week against the Warriors, but completely appreciate you being in touch. Thanks for listening, and we're going to move on to Daniel. Daniel says, our team has turned an absolute corner. We were treading water a few weeks ago, but the last 4 games, Fitz has got us primed for the finals. I'm salivating at the thought of Hines coming back into this team. The common theme over the last few podcasts is how do we accommodate Atkinson? He's there and coming off the bench as 17 is my choice. So he agrees with you and I.
Yes. Smart man, Daniel.
Can't complain about that. This may, however, cause disruption to what we've been doing. What does Fitzgibbon do? Now, we've answered that, Daniel, and we don't know what he's going to do. But you, myself, and Ben would do what you're suggesting. Put Atkinson at 17. You also think Tall Tom has hit his season peak. He's not the same player from earlier this year. Not breaking the line, but rather falling into the defence. I'm probably just looking at a negative, but maybe the season has been too long for him. Looking forward to the last home game. As always, up. That's from Danny. Do you have any opinion on the Hazleton?
I know I said earlier that if Atkinson was going to be on the bench, I don't know who I would pick to drop out. I kind of feel like Daniel and I might be on the same wavelength here, that maybe Tall Tom, as much as I don't want to say it, might be one of the ones to make way.
So Neil says, congrats to the Sharks for the way they demolished the Dargans. Yeah. I thought Bradley was outstanding, closely followed by Nickera, Iro, Ramian, and Kennedy. Love the energy we're bringing. Defense has been outstanding. Special mention to the Sharky women, who remain undefeated with a lights-out performance by Emma Tonegado. Now, we haven't touched on that, and shame on us. NRLW 5-0, top of the table. Killing it.
It was a great game to watch at Wollongong. It really was. And a lot of people stuck around after the men's game, which was great. They're a delight to watch.
Yeah, they really are. They kind of hit every thing you want to hit. Like, they're tough. They can score tries. They show resilience. They seem to have formed this bond that's, I'm not suggesting it's more special than the other teams, but it's just they have this bond where it's almost like the NRL team where it's next person up, I should say, of course. Next person up. Yeah, I really admire what they're doing.
And again, much like the men's side, they haven't let a star spine player and their injury derail what easily could just be an excuse.
Yes.
They're still going very well.
Yes, agreed. Neil also says, thanks for entertaining us with your podcast. Had a good laugh when you were at the Chinese restaurant eating mango pancakes and dim sins with Nathan while podcasting up Cronulla, Neil. Well, Neil, I had a lot of fun with Nathan doing that, and the mango pancakes are unbelievable at that establishment at Golden Bay. So, you been there yet?
I have, yeah. I went on Friday night.
What's your review?
I had some delicious Mongolian lamb, and the salt and pepper soft shell crab was also very good.
I'm yet to experience the non-yum cha menu.
But
I'm psyched to do so. I've
done
yum cha.
I didn't know there was a yum cha menu.
Oh, yeah.
Shame on me.
Yeah. I've done that probably 4 times.
Thanks for the invite.
Well, where was my invite on Friday?
Next email, Sam.
Wade says, another great performance from the team and the coach. Even better, it was a Derby double win. How great were the women? Emma Tonegado and our captain, Tiana Penatani, are both on another level. Absolutely agree. The men's game, I think you saw, even with Tricky coming back into the side, we still played that power game, and that's 100% the game plan moving forward, or what it should be. So instead of people thinking and saying we played better without Nico, they need to be excited that we get to welcome back a player like Nico to slot into this game plan. That's really cool. I like that take.
That's a good
from
attitude
Wade.
to have. Good work.
And he's right. Like, I would completely stick to this game plan.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think that you need to move away from the blocks and the shifts, and just, man, it's such a simple way of playing. I hinted that it harks back to an era that I absolutely despise. Despise is a bad word. The 02-03 campaign under a certain coach. But same mindset. Just keep it simple, play fast, flat, dare I say. It's got shades of that, and I'm with Wade. I would stick to that game plan.
Well, look how Melbourne and the Raiders both beat Penrith the last 2 weeks. Through the front door.
Absolutely
through the front door.
Brayley's service from half is better than every single hooker in the game. I still wouldn't mind a little 40-20 attempt here or there, but his game against the Dragons was 10 out of 10. Blake Island better be getting overpopulated by now. It certainly is, but there's always room for more on the island. That's from Wade. What'd you make of Blake? I thought he was...
Yeah, he was really good. He's been bubbling, and fair call. We all had our criticisms a few weeks ago and started the season, but he's been running more, engaging the marker, trying to draw a penalty, even though ref just ignores it. But I think it was a real stellar game.
Speaking of Blake, a Blake who writes into us regularly has written in.
Is there a Y or is it just
an E? The classic.
Yep, classic. Can't beat the OG.
There's not often are there other Ys other than
I've
Brayley?
never met another Blake with a Y, so actually that's on me. I shouldn't have asked.
No, it's a valid question, but I wasn't sure if it was a sort of a new popular kind of...
Oh, it could be. On Blake Island it would be.
It would be. So from Blake, for me, it's pretty clear the team needs to run through Brayley. Nico, when he comes back, needs to sit back and let Blake dictate to him when he can get the ball.
Ooh.
No more dominance from Nico when not the Cronulla Hinds. Now, Blake is often into writing to us and a little bit critical of guys like Nico. He's not anti-Nico, but he certainly critiques him. I like where he's coming from, but no, I don't think that's A, going to happen, or B, it should happen. I don't think that Nico needs to be told when to do things. I do understand where he's coming from, that Brayley needs more of a say, and if Brayley wants to overcall him, do it, but Brayley needs to make sure it's the right call.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll get into a bit of a pickle.
Uh-huh.
Blake also says, I don't know how I'm saying this, especially because Royce has been in career best form, but Kaufusi is now our most dangerous forward. He may not have the contact meters of some of the others, but his offloads create really dangerous attacking opportunities. He's a steal for whatever we're paying him, and he'll only get better because he's just turned 25. And I agree. I reckon Kaufusi's in great form, and I think the upside of him is that he's young for a prop, but really experienced. I don't know what his games are at, but he must be around the 100 mark, if not more. I mean, he's played in the grand final, and he's had probably 3 or 4 at least seasons. I might be making that up, but at least sort of 4 seasons. So I'd be re-signing him.
Yeah, he's been progressing nicely for a player that I could have taken or leaving at the start of the year.
Chad says, such an excellent result against Dragons. A close call after halftime, being only ahead by a small margin, but then we blew him off the park.
Yep.
And he said, thanks for the podcast. Hopefully see you at the Warriors game. That's from Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Now, the legendary RCB is in touch.
Oh, here we go. What does he have to say about the stadium this time?
Well, I'm sure there'll be something there. You know, he doesn't like it when we say stuff like that about him.
I'm in his good book, so he
you are?
Yeah, he can't say anything negative about me.
But I was going to say he does bring it upon himself.
I mean, yeah, like the speakers are there, mate. Just live with it.
Well, no, on that we agree.
Okay.
Now, let's see what he says. He says, Dargans, I thought we bossed them around from the get-go. They had no answers. We played fast. We dominated the middle. Blake, Brayley, Nicola, and Kaufusi were excellent. I think Tricky needs to be the 7 moving forward. Then Nico coming back a bit less dominant on the ball. He has to fit into what we're doing now. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him if he comes back and doesn't produce. But also, the other guys have lifted since he got hurt. I think we should do the following. Play Nico against the Warriors, win that game, then we can't miss the top 4. Then I'm resting everyone of note, given Category 1 HIA knocks a player out of finals week 1. Settle the business at home and rest people should be the goal.
So he wants to play Nico for 1 week, then give him a week break, and then...
And also, with that in mind, he's thinking resting, I guess, whoever your key guys are. I mean, they're all pretty key in this team, but I'm guessing potentially full spine, maybe. I don't know. Because he's got a point. If you get any kind of knock.
Yeah, that Category 1, that's going to be a danger. I mean, we saw with Jesse and the getting suspended.
Yes.
You have just
whether
as
you're
much of
concussing
risk.
or being concussed.
Correct. You said it better than I did.
It's an interesting point, and I think it's an important one. I don't know if I'm going as far as resting dudes just to avoid it, but he's right. Like, they're so stringent, and we love that they are, but this was the argument from people who kind of, I guess, take concussion less seriously than others, and they're like, well, what if it happens the week before a grand final? Would you be resting anyone?
For the Manly game, yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't mind also the idea of bringing Nico back for a game and then say it all goes to plan. We win. He's amazing. He looks fit. He's making his tackles. You could rest him again and then just make sure he's training well. And
yeah.
It's a tricky one. We'll get to that, I guess, post-game and see what happens. Stephen was in touch. Says, hope you're well. I think we all agree Jesse's been on fire. Jesse Remian. The occasional penalty and brain explosion, but I still give my praise to him. He's been so important to us this year. My question is, the Dragons clearly knocked the ball on, which the officials missed.
Correct.
The Dragons then ran 30 metres, which is followed by Jesse high shot. I can live with a player in the bin for that, but why wasn't it brought back for the clear knock-on prior? To me, the refs mucked it up. Mistakes happen. That's why they have a bunker. Sure, put Jesse in the bin, but give us the scrum 10 metres out. What are your thoughts? That's from Steve. So the only thing I can think of there, Ben, is, and I've been thinking about this a little bit.
Yes.
Any kind of foul play act, which is what a head-high tackle is. There's different ways to interpret foul play, but it's an act of foul play. If you do that at any time on the field, whether the ball is active or not, there's going to be a repercussion, right?
Now, you made fun of me in the nicest way for having my headphones in and listening.
I don't know if I made fun of you.
Oh, well, I mean, it was borderline. You were going to...
I definitely didn't make fun of you.
Okay, well, you're going to regret whatever words. Cute, I believe.
That was sincere.
Okay.
I genuinely thought that was cute.
Well, I heard... So McInnes actually went and wanted to challenge the call of a penalty.
Yes.
Because he said that they had knocked it on, and the ref said that they have found an act of foul play, and that overrides anything else. So that is why they didn't go back to it, because no matter what happened...
So they got it right.
Yes, whether you agree with the sin bin or whatever, in terms of the Sharks, they wanted to challenge it because they also saw the knock on, but the ref was very clear and said, no, it overrides everything with the foul play.
Which I'm kind of okay with.
That's just how it works. That yes, no matter if that came first, and yes, technically, if they called the knock on straight away, the high tackle wouldn't have happened. I was there screaming, there was a knock on. So, like, I get the complaint, but in terms of letting them play advantage, blah, 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 blah.
There's probably different ways they could have addressed it.
Yes, of course. But
Maybe Jesse's in the bin, but yeah, we get the scrum. Like, I know it's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we are now going back like 5 minutes to put players on report and that. So, like, that is actually a possibility. Look, at the end of the day, we didn't waste that challenge because the ref said, wait, don't do the challenge because we've already overruled it.
All right, on that topic, a Chad has been in touch and said, topic on referees and the way the game is officiated. I know it's controversial sometimes, but can be relevant to be discussed. There's many a game marred by a controversial decision by either the ref, sideline officials, or the bunker. This infuriates fans. For me personally, I think the good teams are good enough to win games, even though refereeing decisions can sometimes go against them. But unfortunately, the majority of the general public who follow rugby league seem to generally believe the sport is corrupt, and referees go into games with a preconceived idea of who they're going to favour and who they want to win. They back this up by saying it's the NRL who want a certain outcome to get a close contest and keep people interested. I think this is all very far-fetched. Phew, that's great to hear.
Yes.
But the fact a lot of people have these beliefs, I expect the NRL to be very worried about the public perception of the referees and officials being corrupt. But they do nothing at all to put these claims to bed. If you look through all the game day threads of any supporters forum, you'll constantly see comments about certain referees favouring certain teams. I think this is damaging for the game. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think referees are corrupt?
Whoa,
do you think they go into games with preconceived ideas, or do you think they're just human and make mistakes, even really bad ones? Thank you. I'd love to hear what you think. Cheers, Chad Shark, he calls himself.
Okay.
Thanks, Chad. I'm going to say I don't think referees are corrupt, and that's completely a serious response. Do they go into games with preconceived ideas? I will say no, but they're fully aware of the way players play, weaknesses and positives from teams. Like, they're like any professional sporting outfit. They're full-time. They do their video. They're probably aware of the top 3 penalised players in each team, for example.
Sure.
Right? That, to me, is not a preconceived idea. That's factual.
Yes, that's just them doing their research.
Yes. Do I think they're human and make mistakes? Yes. I think that, like, the constant thread you hear in the media is completely true, and I know this from experience from my work, is that the game day referee has probably between 4 to 7 voices in their head.
That's insane.
In their ears, right? Now, it's not 4 to 7 yelling the entire time at once, but at times there are several voices saying things. They're guiding them, they're tipping them. There is something blatant, like an act of foul play. If there's a try scored and one of them sees that someone's offside but no one else has seen it, they'll be letting them know.
Mm-hmm.
So they are there to advise. My point is, Ben, that the referee, it's true, they have way too many people in their ears. You probably need like one person just to
Guide them.
They do get tipped on what tackle count it is, because we've seen over the years issues where there's the 7 tackles, everyone blows up, and it's like, well, that is a human error.
Yes.
So they do have a chief referee in the, I don't know where they are, if they're in the bunker or if they're in the stand, letting them know what tackle count it is.
Okay.
Even though the ref knows, they'll say confirming tackle 1, confirming tackle 5. It won't be necessarily every tackle. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a positive in that they're out there, they're not alone.
They're well-resourced.
They're getting helped. The negative is they're running around for 80 minutes, using their voice the entire time, and at the same time trying to listen to several voices in their head, touch judges, video refs, referee, coaches, all at once. And it's like, it's a lot to handle. And I admire them for doing it. I think the majority of them do a really good job. But it's one of those things where the speed of the game, they'll never get it 100% right every moment. The bunker stuff, they should be getting right.
Yes.
But the other stuff, you can't see everything. Unless you want to make it NFL, and I sort of am torn about whether they need to do that or not. I hate the whole rubber, the green. I hate the, you'll even out, like they're all cliches.
Yes.
Like, don't give me that BS. It's just, that's not, you're spitting cliches at me.
Yep.
But of course, the great thing about our game is the speed.
Yeah, you don't want to keep slowing it down and making it NFL.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts? I've just been rambling. What are your thoughts?
I remember a couple of weeks ago there was a Reddit thread that magically turned into an article in the Telegraph. You put 2 and 2 together. And it was which sides have the best winning record and the losing record with certain referees. And it came out that there was a certain percentage that Adam...
You're talking about the Canterbury game, yeah? Canterbury team.
It must have been, because there was Adam G very positively looks at the Sharks, and we have a winning record.
Yep.
And so that came out.
Canterbury, because I know this because a friend of mine messages me every year that one of the referees, they never win under this one referee.
Okay.
And then it became a story, I think, this year, and he was like, see? And I was like, you've been crap for 8 years.
Yes, that's right. Exactly, which is why
Go
when
on,
you've got
sorry.
But I remember it came out on Reddit, became an article that Adam G has the number 1 winning percentage when it comes to Cronulla and the referees. And it just so happened that the game that weekend, Adam G was the referee and gave us absolutely nothing. Now, was that a coincidence? Maybe. Was he aware of it? He was probably told during the week, or someone would have said something. Did I only notice it because I also read the Reddit thread and the article? Well, yes, because otherwise I would have just watched it anyway, right?
Yeah.
But I found that interesting. But no, the referees aren't corrupt. But the fact that I'm just going to echo really what you said, but game has gotten faster. They have too many voices in their ear. They cut it down to one referee, where I think it needs to go back to 2.
Yeah.
To accommodate that, just have the same one person in the bunker every game. It's only 16 hours of work.
Yeah.
Anybody in an office spends more time than that a week on a computer, and then at least they're going to be consistent from one game to the other. Just have the bunker man.
The other thing is, this person is a junior at this district, and
they grew up a Sharks fan.
It's like, well,
Ben Hunt grew up a Sharks fan, and do you think that he intentionally threw the game last week?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I don't cop any of that, which ties into you and I both agreeing. Obviously, they're not corrupt, and I just think that, well, they have to be from somewhere. And then the one that I hear about is some guys from Penrith, and it's like, well, yeah, they've won every game in the last 4 years.
Yes.
So they're going to be good under him and everyone else.
Yeah, as you said.
So
Bulldogs have been quite bad the last few years.
I do worry, as our listener said, I do worry about things like, we're spending 5-10 minutes on this subject, and happy to do it because someone wrote in, but you and I didn't come here to talk about referees. You know what I mean?
No, that's right.
And it's the same when you're reading an article. It's like, why am I reading about a referee? I don't even want to know about the referees.
Yes.
I think the moment they became personalities, and you could say, like, well, in the 70s there was Hartley, in the 90s there was Harrigan. Like, I get it. Like, they became part of the deal, but they shouldn't be. They're there just to do their thing and stay out of the way, although, the fella on the weekend did a great job in helping us stop a try.
It was a forward pass anyway.
That was probably the highlight of my weekend, just seeing that happen. Gus is right. Nothing's funnier than a ref getting hit, but also the fact it was the Dragons on the attack, coming back almost probably 4-10 points in the game.
Yeah.
It could have turned the game.
Could have.
For them.
But it didn't. It was a forward pass anyway. Yes. I think that there needs to be some sort of revisiting of this at the end of the year, not blowing up the bunker, but just looking to have some sort of consistency in who is making those decisions as opposed to rotating people in and out. And just what are they getting in their ear? How can you make that easier? Getting two of them on the field again, letting them make those calls.
I'd also just, and if they do it already, then awesome, but I would just have direct communication with the refs and say, what do you guys and girls want?
That's exactly right.
What do you need more in your ear or do you need less? Tell us what you want.
And find the last 10 New South Wales Cup, Jersey Flag, Queensland Cup referees that left and decided, no, this isn't for me, I'm going to go somewhere else. Sit them down and go, what could have we done except for probably like paying you better? What could have we done? Is it more help? Is it more research? Is it you couldn't keep up with the speed of the game?
The other side of it is the personal side, and you know, you and I can't stop this, but that the flack they cop in real life is just embarrassing. Like it's a step too far. I'm not saying they don't get praise, but when you're at a game and you have to see security lining the gates because someone wants to like kill a referee, it's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, one step too far. And I think that we should all be able to easily go between what is the difference between a constructive criticism of a member of the rugby league community that might have made an error, and also that line that you cross into racist, sexist, just rude, hate speech, that sort of stuff.
I'm even talking just like grown adults running to the tunnel. It's like, come on. Get back to your seat.
Yeah, what are you doing? And I mean, that goes right down to
Saturday
morning sport.
It does. That's exactly right. Now, part of the SharkCast crew, the best expert in insects around the world. I said insects, Mr. Dr. Cameron Webb. Question for the podcast. You're going to like this one.
Great.
What's our grand final ticket buying strategy this year? Not just men's, but also possibly women's. In 2016, we bought after the win in week 1 of the final. So Cam and his family bought after the Canberra win.
Yep.
I think this year we're going to look into some cheaper seats shortly. Not that there's still many remaining and available. Well, not available is what you'd probably say because they leave over a bunch.
They're being held back.
And then revisit when the boys make it through to the prelims. So Cam's thinking ahead.
I like this.
I like it.
He's a planner, you are not.
So So Cam in 2016 went after the Canberra win. People who listen to the show know I went after the Dogs win, whenever that was. It was kind of, if it wasn't halfway, it was like 3/4 way through the year when, was it Latelli scoring and then Maloney after the bell kicking? That I was straight on.
Yep.
We're going to get to you, but when did you buy your tickets?
I was lucky that I was promised tickets through work about 3/4 of the way. So it was after Origin. I definitely know that. So it probably was around the same time as you with the Canterbury game at ANZ at the time. That was when I was told, hey, like, we're on here. If we make it, we're good.
Okay. Any thoughts on this year for Cam? People listening who haven't done so already. I haven't done so.
I mean, if we're looking at the undefeated NRLW team, and now we've got a double chance that Cronulla could make the grand final in either, I mean, if you want to see the girls hold the trophy for the first time, I'd be starting to look very soon.
Gotcha. Added bonus of men if they make it.
Well, that's the thing. At the moment, the women's side have the best shot out of the two, but it's where there's still a possibility there. So if you're taking that into consideration, like, I mean, I went to when the combined Sharks Storm made the grand final in the New South Wales Cup, because I thought, foolishly, that was going to be the only time I'd see the Sharks in a grand final since '97. It's like
it's like something out of Sharknado.
Yes. Shark Storm. So, yeah, I would start to think that if you're taking the NRLW into consideration, which is very smart because they are very good.
Well, you and I need to look into some grand final tickets.
We do need to have a look at that.
This is from Paul. Paul said a weekend that delivered everything we could have hoped for. The men trouncing the Dragons on their home ground, high-flying women's side doing the same for good measure, and results everywhere else swinging Cronulla's way. For the third game, we were running out of the blocks quickly, dominated the first half. Even at 14-10, I wasn't too worried. The game was pretty much done once Kennedy leapt above Sloane. Credit to Trindle for the monster Mitch Healy-esque bomb. 9 straight wins in this derby. Hasn't happened since St George won the first 9 clashes between 67 and 71.
Wow. That's a stat.
Don't forget we don't include that because they're
It's a
not
different
the
club.
current. That's right. But I appreciate it bringing up. Canberra's win over the Panthers opens up the finals picture for us. While there are no mugs at the top of the ladder and plenty can change, a first week meeting with the Roosters strikes me as a fair bit less nasty than a trip to Melbourne or Penrith. It's often said you can't win the comp from outside the top 4, but no one's actually won it from 4th either since the McIntyre system was abandoned in 2012. Man, Paul's hitting with the stats.
Yeah, I like the stats. Good work, Paul.
So a spot in the top 3 would be doubly valuable. But there's a job to be done on Saturday first. That's Paul from Penshurst. Yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying. I'm glad that the men and women dominated on the weekend. You're looking towards a Roosters finals week 1 event. And he's right. Like, the trip is a lot less nasty. It's
Yes, just going alley
35 minutes that way.
Yeah, beat them
I
at their
mean,
home ground.
it's tough. But anyone's tough, right?
It's going to be tough either way, right? And I think that's the one thing that this week in particular, there's been lots of conversation about, do Melbourne want to face Penrith or the easy option, the Sharks? And I mean, we'll all go, oh, that's annoying. But it's a conversation that every time all the ex-players answer with, to win, you need to beat the best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. We just need to expect that if we play Penrith, if we play Melbourne, if we play the Roosters, we just need to expect that we put our best foot forward and we win.
Yeah, it's not like the team's going to play in week 1 and expect to lose. They're going to win. They're going to expect to win. They're going to try and do everything they can to win. They're going to train to win. So they don't have the same fear that the fans have, that's for sure.
No. Do you want the Roosters after they get bashed by the Rabbitohs in the last game of the season? Do you want an underdone Penrith? Do you want a rested Melbourne? Or maybe Melbourne don't rest all the players against Brisbane and half of them get knocked out, like we said earlier with the Cat 1 stuff. Do you want the Roosters with momentum? Like, there's so many options there.
Yeah.
Are we going to rest our players against Manly? Like, it's
I think
very
the answer,
hard.
Ben, is you just want to finish as high as you can.
That's exactly right.
I really believe that. Josh says, been a bit slack writing, but I've been lapping up the content, which is awesome. He talks about the excellent win against the Titans and the Knights. It's a strong position we're in at the moment, with 3 or 4 players still to come back into the team when fit. Nico on the extended bench this week is exciting. I definitely sit in the camp of if he's fit to play, then he should get a run or 2 under his belt before the finals. In regards to who partners him, I lean towards Atkinson in the 6.
Interesting.
It's harsh on Tricky, but I think that the pairing works best. Love Brayley's game in the past month, career best form. We shouldn't need any motivation for a victory this week, but being Old Boys Day and Captain Cameron's 200th NRL match can't hurt to have behind us either. Up. That is from Josh. Excellent stuff, Josh. Some great points. It is Cam McInnes' 200th game. It will be Old Boys Day, and you can imagine that Fitzgibbon will be frothing at all these things. He loves a milestone.
Okay.
And he loves Old Boys and showing the respect to them, incorporating that. He'll bring in some of the guys to training. They'll sort of talk to each other. They'll be in the huddle. They'll be heavily involved in the lead up to the game. So I really do think we're going to be primed for this game. I don't think there's any worry about motivation. That's why I'm pretty confident about the win. He wants Atkinson at 6.
That's interesting. Here's one question I would like to present is that when the 80th minute happens on Saturday night, there is one player that instantly becomes an old boy. Does he get invited into the sheds? Sean Johnson? It's Old Boys Day. He becomes an old boy.
That's factual.
Again,
That's factual.
spitting facts.
Is he invited in the sheds? Boy?
Oh, I mean,
Imagine-
all the
imagine-
old boys are in there. It's
Well,
Old Boys Day.
Now, hang on,
Okay.
Ben. As someone, so this is where we're going to gloat, you and I.
Okay.
You and I separately
Yes.
have been in the sheds for the song for the first time in our lives.
Yes.
Both of us in the past month or so. You and I both know there's not a lot of room in there.
No, there isn't a lot
There's
of
family,
room.
friends, hanger-oners like us.
Like us.
And the team. There is probably between 100 and maybe 300 expected of Old Boys. Like, there's a lot.
Large ex-football players.
Yep. they're not going into the sheds
No,
after the game.
once you say it like that, yes, there is no room.
What I did mean was, though, that selected... I mean, they're probably all welcome, but a select few will come to the training sessions. They'll come to the captain's run. They'll be in those huddles.
I see.
Maybe post-game, I'm sure they'll sneak in a few of them, but there's no way all of them are getting in.
Yeah, good point. You brought facts then. As for Atkinson at 6, I don't see that working. I don't see...
Not working or not the better way to go?
I mean, look, if Trindle goes down with an injury, hopefully not, I wouldn't be devastated that it's a Atkinson-Nico combo in the halves, but I don't think that they will gel as well as Trindle, who I think has found his voice this year with Nico.
We've had a lot of responses on the Insta, so thanks to everyone who has been in touch. They're mostly all things like, yeah, the boys, yeah, the girls. Steve said, I can sleep easier knowing the Sharks have beaten the little brother, and they even jumped into third.
Yeah, you and me
what an
both.
effort, and Braley and Nicola really stood out. On this, Steve, we can agree, my man, on everything you just wrote in the opening paragraph. I was nervous about the game just because I really don't... I think people think I put this on a little bit. I don't like losing to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's genuine.
Yep.
Now, if I use the word hate, I would regret that because it's not a good word in
Big
all
word.
sincerity. But I really don't like them. And I really don't like playing them. I don't like losing to them. And the reason I don't like playing them is because there's that 50-50 chance where you might lose.
Yeah.
And I've lost to them a lot. And it sucks. It like ruins my day. It's like, it's my one time a year I just kind of like go, you know what? This is not good. This is not fun. This is not... I don't like losing to the Dragons. So I was nervous before that game only for the fact I didn't want to lose to them. I didn't want to feel that way. And what a great feeling afterwards.
And this iteration of the Dragons with Flanagan as coach, with Bird there, knowing that your boyfriend will be there next year.
He will.
Does that make you more nervous than previous iterations of the Dragons?
No, because as universally known on this podcast only, I don't really hold it against them for going there. I'm not happy they're there.
Yes.
Because of everything they've done, to me, I put an asterisk next to it and go, you're still my guy. Like, you were still my guy. So Jack Bird on the weekend, acting like a pork chop with the referee and all that sort of stuff, and acting really... I don't like using the word dumb either, so I'll say really immature at times.
Mm-hmm.
Bordering on annoying.
Yes.
I raised my eyebrow.
Okay.
Raised my eyebrow.
But that's the furthest you're going to go, because the asterisk then comes in.
The broken shoulder, the grand final.
I thought he should have won the Clive Churchill,
Yeah.
but that's a...
So no, them being there. But if next year the BF gets the field goal in a finals game,
Yes.
it may end me.
Okay.
But it won't be like a hatred end. It'll be like a,
Devastating.
I can't handle this.
Yeah.
So
I'll never let go, Jack, but then he lets go.
back to Stephen.
Yes, back to Stephen.
Great points that he makes. Kafusi's playing better than ever. He's hoping we get a home semi.
Possible.
He's getting more impressed each week with Stone Street, and he wants him over Katoa. So that's a
Controversial.
strong belief. Yeah. He's not a lone wolf in that thought. I want Katoa. I see Stone Street as a future great prospect when needed until one of those guys leaves.
Yes.
But I understand Stephen wanting that. They do bring different attributes to the game. Can't wait until Nico, Ronnie, and Talakai return. Trindle's kicking game is going good. Keep up the great work. Hopefully we can get to second. Man, I'm with Steve that I hope we get to second. I think it's unlikely. I think we're bang on for third if things go away.
Yeah, I think
But it's not out of the question.
The thing is that the last game for the Roosters is against the Rabbitohs, and they've got nothing else to play for except that last game.
The only problem with that, and I'm going along with what you say, is that they're absolute garbage.
Well, that is very true as well.
Like, Cam Murray's out for the year now. Latrell's not coming back. Like, they're really running on an oily rag. Like,
And Roosters aren't going to be resting players for a Rabbitohs game.
No.
Stranger things have happened, but yes, you're 100% correct.
So I think that's all the mail, Ben.
I like that. That was a good set of mail.
It was. If we've forgotten anything, then we'll definitely get to it. So appreciate that. Yeah, a shout out to our friend, my new friend Mitch, who I went on a podcast called the Life's a Mitch podcast, which I put on our feed, Ben,
Yes,
as well.
you did.
And He's got his own podcast. It's a question and it's an interview-based podcast of all walks of life. And he's a big Sharks fan, and he wanted me to come on the show and talk about SharkCast and stuff. And so it's there if you want to hear it. But as a warning, and there's a warning on the episode.
I did see the warning.
That it's not specifically Cronulla Sharks based. We do talk a lot about the Sharks, but it's not that. Anyway, that's enough about the mail. I think right now we take a short break.
Okay.
And then we come back and wrap, and we talk about the Warriors, and we talk about you.
Okay.
And I know that our listeners want to hear the end of your story about the grand final and this year's grand final. We'll come back. Stick with us. SharkCast Pod. Up. We're back after this break. SharkCast is supported by the best and most honest real estate agent in the Sutherland Shire, Jason Hawes from Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. He's an expert in the Caringbah region and has his eye all across the Shire. Lifelong Sharks fan and supporter of this podcast, if you're looking to buy or sell in the region, the person you need to be talking to is Jason Hawes from Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Call him on 0410 417 450. That's 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes, Cripps & Cripps Real Estate.
Cooper with the ball. Oh, Maloney is still. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there. Listen to the fans at Elliott's.
Welcome back to SharkCast Pod. We are on the home stretch, and we are with our very special guest host, Ben Harlum. Ben works for SIRIUS. Am I saying it right?
It's Sirius XM is the full
Sirius
title, but
XM.
Sirius works. Satellite radio in America.
Huge deal.
Big deal.
Huge deal. And
Sirius is not me. I'm a small peg.
well, you got your own show. I
That's
forgot
true.
about that.
Yeah, Ben plus one.
That's
Saturday
cool.
mornings. That's fun.
Have we told people how they can find you? Have we told them?
My handles, at Ben Harlum, spelt Harlum, and then if you can download the SiriusXM app and it happens to work for you, if you've got a VPN working or something like that.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not going to officially endorse it, but sometimes when you're overseas, the app works, even though it's an American thing. Or maybe you like RCB and you love a bit of Jim and Sam on SiriusXM, you just happen to switch over to Ben Plus One on a Saturday morning, I would not be opposed.
So how have I had the Springsteen one without a VPN?
Sometimes it just works, and the app just sometimes works. Sometimes it catches that you're in a different country.
Let's talk it up and let's say seek you out. Let's hope it works.
Sign up for a free trial.
So you've got your 5-day-a-week morning show.
Yeah, the morning mashup on Hits One, which is
you're
like
producer
40.
but also on-air personality guy. And then you got your own show.
Yes, on a Saturday morning, Ben Plus One, where we have different guests.
Not much of a sleeper, huh?
No. Well, if I'm up 3:30 for a Sharks game, it's very easy to waltz into the studio and then...
Yeah, you're fitting in nice and well on this show. Warriors this week.
Yes.
We getting the win?
I think we do.
Mm-hmm.
And any doubts that I had at the start of this pod, you have convinced me otherwise, because I expressed my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But like some other games, it's just one of those that if we do get the L, and I don't want us to, I'll sit there and go, yes, that was a danger game. I should have seen the signs coming. But I think that we've shown, like I said just a bit earlier, Knights game, Dragons game, Rabbitohs game, those were three teams that really had something to play for. We did win in three different ways, and I think that we do it again this week.
It's not going to surprise you that I'm a fan of films that recreate sporting moments, TV shows, of course. Yeah. And a lot of that is make-believe, and a lot of that is based on fact. Some of it is stretched truth. I haven't asked the coach this, but I hope he is, and I get the feeling he is, starting to mold this team in a way that he used to play the game for the Roosters, the very successful Roosters team, even when he was coach of the Roosters, where you make the most of every opportunity.
Yes.
And I feel like the past few years, we've obviously let it slip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this year, no one's really tipping us to win the comp. That's fine. But we're going to be in the top four. We could finish second. We could finish third, finish fourth. We could finish fifth, but that's unlikely. But we're up with the big boys. And I really feel like if I had the team before a game running out, aside from saying, do your best, play hard, yada, yada, I would let them know in a very Coach Taylor kind of way that this stuff doesn't happen often. Like, how often are you top 4 really with a shot to do something?
Yes.
And it's, Royce, you might be going next year, could be the year after. Jack, we're not sure. There are guys leaving, guys coming. You need to make the most of these moments. I know it's the romanticism of the sport, which is really kind of a lot of the reason why I watch it anyway. But I think a lot of these guys need that kind of, not reality check, but that kind of reminder that, time is fleeting. You're in a really successful team. You all love each other. Play until you cannot play anymore. And I'm sure they do, but just remind them of the fact that at this point you can do anything you want. Okay, you might have to go to play Penrith and Penrith. Big deal. Get the win. Like, do what you got to do. I'm obviously not Coach Taylor.
Are you unleashing this speech this round? Is this the round that you're doing?
No. I'm just saying leading up to the finals at some point.
It needs to be said.
Maybe it is going into week 1 of the finals.
Okay.
Maybe it is this week. I don't think you can be reminded about that enough. That, play to your build, do everything you can. I know they do. But I just think that reminder, and he could bring up his Clive Churchill medal